In this video, I'll show you 5 ways how you can buy back your time, whether it's for yourself or your team, so you can remove the low leverage activities within your business, all with agentic AI in your workspace. In this case, we can use Slack, for instance, as an example, especially if you're working with different channels or teams. Now, most of these workflows are integrated into, say, your team communication channel. So as events happen in the outside world, whether, say, through softwares, connectors, or any different integrations you have within your organization, when specific events or triggers happen, you can plug it into your OpenClaw infrastructure or whatever other agentic AI you're using to set and trigger off a sequence of automations and events. If you stay till the end of the video, I'll show you how you can dramatically increase your productivity so you can completely eliminate the time spent on worthless tasks and only so you can focus on things that matter. So let's get right into the computer and I can show you how this can work from a structure perspective. All right, I'm going to show you 5 ways teams are running OpenClaw to manage their business or specific areas of their business, where you can set this up in, say, a specific Slack channel, even Discord, to set up specific scheduling tasks and events that once triggered, your OpenClaw or any other agent that you have working for you, even if it's a simple automation, gets triggered and it performs some sort of work. As you can see here in the graphic, the way this works is pretty much this is a visual integration into, say, Slack, Discord, or anywhere where you can have multiple channels within a communication environment. And from there, once you have the separations in terms of what you're looking for this thing to do, whether it's for lead alerts, routing tickets, doing some sort of debrief or making sense of data, anything around sales, whether it is something around BDR or prospecting with emails or even building a list or even onboarding clients. I know a lot of people even ask me when it comes to how can you actually automate with agents and their onboarding? And it's actually very possible, whether you're doing it with, say, something like Go High Level or any other like manual flow you're doing it right now with just manual labor and hand. So when you plug this all into a online channel and at the core of it, at the bedrock, it's being run and operated on OpenClaw, you can trigger and set off a variety of different sets of AI agents to perform specific tasks, or even it can trigger different automations to make sense of the data or to perform specific actions. Otherwise, a simple N8N automation or Zapier wouldn't really be able to fully handle. Whereas here you have an agent that can trigger specific events or make sense of it better, or even launch its own sub-agents to do something in a very specific way that you're looking for it to get done. Now, the thing is, you don't necessarily need to be running your OpenClaw in, say, the OpenClaw dashboard that everyone's pretty familiar with. This thing can literally just live in a very specific environment, such as a channel that maybe it's just you, maybe a select few people, or even your whole entire team. Once it's in there, you can give it a allow list of permissions of who can actually communicate with it, whether or not anyone can communicate with it, and what can you do if it does communicate with you, or if it's just simply sending data and then what to do with that data. So when you really just integrate this thing with all the various different softwares, the tools, and the skill capabilities to run on, say, specific scheduled tasks, jobs, events, it can actually do things and literally just work in the current workspace that you're already working. And this does, also keep in mind, this is just speaking natively to these communication platforms like Slack or something like Google Chat or wherever you're working. This can also even be applied and integrated into, say, any software or even, say, a enterprise product where you have customers or clients with their own workspaces. So one big one is, did you know, it's a fun fact that if you call your leads right away that are coming into your booked calls or Calendly, that you, by calling them within the first 5 to 10 minutes, there's a crazy stat. If you call them within the first 5-10 minutes, you increase your sales conversion rates by nearly 400%. I even had to find really quickly here just to show you that when you call a lead within 60 seconds, your chances of converting that prospect increases to 500%. It's an MIT study, and that's absolutely insane. So if you don't want to ever miss your leads or, have a pretty bad conversion rate in your sales, you can simply create a automation where what you can do is never miss a lead again, whether you're doing this manually or even get an agent to set this up. So here it's kind of partial in terms of like how the visualizer presents it, but you can simply set up an event where, say, you are looking at a specific form, whether it's a CRM, you trigger or enable webhooks so your agent can listen to it. You can format it based on specific leads or prospect quality, or once it formats it and it tags it based on the criteria you're looking for, whether they qualify or don't, throws it into the group chat for, say, leads in this case. And then here is where you can get fancy. Either someone is on standby, you're paying this person to call them or do something about it, or what we can do is you can set up voice AI agents to immediately call them. If you immediately call them and basically get them routed to a sales agent or even yourself, then what happens from there is, as you saw in that image, you can increase your conversion rate of closing the prospect by 500%. Now, whether you're doing the last step manually or if you're doing it with an agent, 500% is insane. Another pretty big one is your morning stand-up. So when it comes to actually working with multiple people, multiple sources of truth, and when you're trying to make sense of all this data, do you necessarily even need multiple people routing you information or giving you a simple spreadsheet to kind of give you a debrief? So rather than you doing that yourself, what you can do is literally just plug and play all the various different connectors, APIs, or even charts that your AI can simply make sense of it, schedule out a task every single day before you're about to begin work to then make sense of that data, and then from there send it to a specific channel that you look for, or maybe someone else that has access would be able to look at it and make sense of it. I actually created a recent video that makes sense of how I was able to pretty much create a source of truth with various different sources of information, where, say, I'm looking at ads data, Calendly booked calls, any other pieces of data, where then I can pull it all into a CRM and then it makes sense of it. So if you can schedule out the tasks where on, say, a certain basis, or say every single day at, say, 8 a.m., you could get simple reports. You connect all the data together to make sense of it by your AI based on the parameters or what exactly you're looking for. It can either throw out and toss you a dashboard created with just straight code generation on the spot, so it's always native and uniquely updated based on what you're looking for. It's not deployed publicly, but you can deploy it in a specific private environment, so it's just only accessible to you. Or you can just get this AI to even update your own spreadsheets. So I did that myself because I use Meta ads, where like I can export the CSV. I use Google Sheets. I use Calendly, so it can literally pull all the events. I hook it up also to Stripe to make sense of data. Any other, say, pieces of information, whether it's about the quality of the prospect or like the prospect, what happened on a conversation we had or whatever. And then from there, it makes sense of everything for me. So rather than you digging through all your various different nodes, you can pretty much just integrate AI into it as long as it has data and you can make sense of the data based on certain things you're looking for, or even to even prompt it to make sense of it. You have massive leverage there. Now, it's 2026, and if you're not already doing this, then you're already super behind. But this one's a no-brainer. Having nothing fall through the cracks when it comes to actually anyone reaching out to you. If, say, you have people in your customer service aspect or doing admin, then quite honestly, you can have this thing fully automated at this point. If you connect, say, your inboxes to whatever service or platform you're using, you enable certain triggers or events, like once a certain event or row gets updated, then the agent can look at it, tag it based on specific criteria, whether it's low, medium, high, or whether it's a specific outreach. Maybe it's something that only a certain permissioned user can respond to it. Depending on how you categorize the tickets and the events, from there what we can do is you can have different agents either to set up and respond to the tickets, or they can only then route to, say, a specific agent in your organization or your business. So for instance, if it's a simple low priority ticket request, this can be fully automated to the point where you can just have agents spawned on the moment to answer, reply, provide the necessary resources, and it's completely handled. You don't have to be doing this stuff manually, especially if it's like a $5 an hour activity. And the most essential thing here is to prioritize the categorization of how you're classifying any of this information. Because if you have a strong model right here, like right before it gets sent into a certain inbox, and then once it gets sent to the inbox and has a specific tag, then the agent that is either monitoring any of these inboxes, it knows either it can respond to it, it can flag it to then push it out into, say, Slack, for instance, or even get pushed into, say, a team member's notifications, where then they know, oh, hey, like I should probably respond to this because obviously the AI is not permitted to do it or it can't do it yet. Now, especially if you're working with headcount, and especially if you're working with a team, or say even a manager that is looking for, say, specific reports from people, team performance, that requires notifications, that requires information, performance, stats on how things are transpiring throughout the day, then this one's pretty important because you can easily automate it without anyone having to do any extra work. So then you can only focus on closing and just booking calls, right? So rather than wasting your time on grouping and pulling all the information together, you can have cron jobs, or AKA tasks, that are scheduled periodically throughout the day to build out the information as it's going, especially if you're moving a lot of volume. Or alternatively, at the end of the day, right before the end of the day stand up or whatever, you can have an agent pull in all the information together from all your CRM, the performance of the pipeline and what's happening in the updates, make sense of that information, kind of like I told you before, where you pull in all the information from all the various different sources, whether you are collecting transcripts, whether you are moving and updating the CRM in real time and actually closing deals. And then from there, at the end of the day, you have a fully fleshed out report, whether it's from a single person or a full entire team. And then that all simply can get pushed into Slack, whether it's through individual members where they have their own individual tasks, scheduled task jobs by an agent where it reviews everything and then pushes it out into Slack, or for the whole entire set of people. Now, onboarding is a super manual one, especially too if all you have to do is just create specific environments for your clients that you're working with. And this honestly can just be automated with AI at this point, especially too if you're looking to be compliant with specific protocols, or if there's a very specific repeat set of things that you do that's pretty much just copy and paste, but it's right now constrained by manual labor and time. Especially if you're a solo or small operation here, there's not a lot of time to allocate and do all this stuff. Now, everyone has their own sorts of onboardings, and onboardings, if it's just a simple onboarding process, it's pretty much a rinse, wash, and repeat process. That's what it is, a process. Now, the thing here is in action, how this could kind of look like from a high level. You integrate Stripe into your agent. It listens to the event. Once it receives the event, that's when it dispatches and actually does a set of things. So the first thing is obviously it notifies you that, hey, someone just got onboarded, this person is ready to go. The other thing, which probably should come prior to notifying you, is actually doing the full entire complete onboarding. So whether it's one, adding the person to the CRM, once the person is added to the CRM, obviously this AI agent should, at this point, if you're going to call it an AI agent and you're going to call it an onboarding agent, it should have access to your CRM, should have access to some sort of payment connector. It should have access to the necessary files to read, retrieve, and potentially send to people, say like contracts and documentation. Once it has all this information, it should be able to send it out on autopilot, whether it's through an email system, something internal, whether you're working in a software, to notify the client that this workspace for them specifically is set up and complete. So automatically sending or even waiting for, say, agreements to be signed. Once it's signed, it listens to the event on a periodic basis. And then from there, once the client has signed, or even if they didn't sign, you can have the agent follow up on them, say 24 hours, 72 hours, whatever. Once it's signed, the workspace is permitted and opened to the client, which pretty much enables them to have access to their resources or workspace for whatever they need. This can be fully automated, especially too if you're giving, say, a client an access to a Trello board, or if you're giving them access to something specific within Asana, or giving them access to something else. All you're really doing here is creating user accounts in the workspaces, and the AI agent has the necessary scopes and permissions to create the workspace. It'll do that for you. And these are 5 automations that can easily buy back your personal time, your team's time, so you can focus on the primary tasks that actually move the ball forward. I hope this helped. I hope you're kind of starting to see how you can potentially integrate agents at the bedrock of everything you're doing, and then from there creating processes and sub-agents to launch and integrate into your workflows to buy back your time, remove yourself from tasks that don't really yield a high ROI, and only focus on objectives and tasks that are moving the company or your business forward. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel. I release content every single week. I also have a newsletter where I talk about AI and agents, so you can subscribe to that on my website. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.